Ho ho ho! Happy holiday season to you. Thanks for stopping by. Today, I'd like to share a behind the scenes look at one of our characters, Karn Delance. So, grab yourself a nice, cool, refreshing beverage. Uh, I'm enjoying a nice Pepsi Max today out of my Christmas cup. Fantastic. Now, Karn Delance was first seen in Three Down Stars. He was frozen in time, and depending on the character that you investigate him with, you'll get different dialogue and you can learn a couple different things about him based on the character that you're playing as. In Galaxy Bound Curse, Karn is actually a playable character. You can recruit him, and I think you have to buy him a couple drinks at the bar, and then you give him the drinks, and then he'll sort of get some courage and he'll join your party, and then you can play as him. And in our novel Heavy Shadow, which you can read for free right now from our website, he's featured in that. So our graphics from the 3DS game obviously were low poly count and low texture resolution. So this is our high quality, high definition model here. And I'll just share a couple details and a close look at Karn Delance. For anyone that's interested in triangles and polygons and whatnot, here you go. There's the vert count, the triangle count. You can see here's beard there. His pants, pretty good poly count. His eyelashes, there you go. His eyes, his hair. Oh yeah, never mind that. He doesn't use that. That's just sort of a default thing. Okay. His mustache, his shoes, and his top. So we have a pretty high poly counts. This is meant for consoles that can handle a higher poly count. And we have his sort of a signature, sort of a teal color here with his white pants that are textured, quite detailed, with the normal mapping there, and they catch the light with the fabric. It helps it stand out. You have these leather shoes with a little buckle on it. Now his hat is, or this sort of bandana, is one of my favorite patterns that any character has in Silver Falls, and I'll just show you what that texture looks like just here. And there's that. So I actually photographed an old bandana, and I overlaid some texture detail on top of that. And for the normal mapping information, well, actually I was working on that and didn't save the data across. So I actually will use the detail map like this. Let's go to, actually, just the normal, please. So we will go like this. Okay, and let's tile that. I think I went 8 and 8. So now you can see there's more of a texture on the hat. If I disable that, you can see that there's much less data. My dog seems to be barking at something outside. Here we go. So you can see there's quite a bit more detail in how the material catches the light. And of course, you could make that tile more or tile less. And depending on the game that you are using this model in, if you know how far the camera is going to be from your graphical assets, then it's a good idea to try to tile these so that it looks best based on the game that you are using this asset in. So I think in Campfire Stories, because the camera is pretty far away, I usually keep that at about 8. And I know that the camera doesn't ever really get too close to the characters. And I also do that because I have a lot of can have a lot of characters and a lot of things on screen, so I want the texture resolutions to be lower overall. If we have a look at these textures here, you can see that these are 2048 by 2048. And this applies to pretty much anything. You know, there isn't a huge reason for your metallic and smoothness map to be a higher resolution. They're just in here by default. That's what they are. But I'll just show you here. If you were to sort of reduce that to 512, let's just have a look at what happens to the detail. So it's not, you notice there is some loss of sharpness in how the specularity and shininess and roughness is defined. But if I were to use an external program and manually resize that to 512 by 512, it would actually maintain a lot more of the detail. What Unity does is actually blur a whole lot, and you lose a lot of detail when you resize through Unity. So I generally almost never resize that way. I always, per project, I will resize it outside of the application. However, where it really doesn't matter is your occlusion map. And that sort of tells the renderer what parts should accept light a whole lot and what shouldn't. And for your ambient occlusion, there's absolutely no reason why it needs to be high resolution unless your UV mapping, if you've crammed a lot of stuff onto that. So you could even put that at, say, for example, 256, and there's almost, it's imperceptible. There's no way you can tell the difference. So that's one map. I'll save time and I'll let Unity resize that for me because it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to leave that at 2048 for the time being. But also, again, because there's no reason for that to be high resolution, you're putting less strain on the memory when you're running it on the console. So again, that's something. So with Karn, I wanted him to have just uh, a look of a bit eclectic, like he sort of gathered colors and details from a long fun life that he's lived, and he's just visually interesting to look at. He's got multiple sort of shiny bits on his face here. He has his goggles and he has his glasses, and that sort of feeds into uh, his sort of character background, where um, if you've read Heavy Shadow, Karn is a glass worker, and he blows glass and he creates sculptures. And so having, an ever-present glass, and this shininess, that's a sort of a subtle communication of that part of his character. And this pattern of his hat gives him a sense of adventurousness, and a bit of an old hippie spirit, a bit free-spirited, especially with his long hair. And I'll show you. This is a detail that won't be super visible in games, but you can see that he's got a very particular pattern. It kind of sounds like my dog wants to join me in my office space here. Let's see here. And so we've got that. So that's for our character breakdown, and I wanted to give him a sort of a rough look with the leather here, and the shininess of the leather breaks up the cloth and gives him an interesting way to catch the light in different environments. So that is our close look at him. Oh, it does sound like my dog wants to join me. I might have to wrap up here and pay some attention to my dog pretty soon. So there we go. And what I will be doing is creating a second video, and I will be sharing some character graphics for Karn for upcoming games. So while I'm still working on that and not quite ready to share that, I will be creating a video for Patreon. So I started Patreon earlier in the year, but I didn't really advertise it because I didn't really want to have that sort of relationship with my supporters. I just want to make the games, and I want to get the games out to you guys, and then you guys can buy the games. Then I can make some free games as a way to say thanks, and also, just to help more people enjoy the game series. And so I'll be creating a few extra videos regularly now to share on Patreon. So if you guys want to, pitch in a couple dollars and help keep the lights on in the studio. At the moment, I'm having a bit of a tough time marketing my games and advertising them, so sales are a bit slow at the moment, and I'm working hard so that sales will pick up early next year, hopefully when we have new games out. So until then, I would appreciate a bit of help just keeping the lights on and paying for bills to keep the studio running. So I will create a video, and I'll share that on Patreon, about Karn's look in an upcoming game, which is for the 3DS, Guardians and Metal Exterminators, which takes place in the 80s. So it has a totally different look for Karn. So I'll put the link in the description if you'd like to check that video out on Patreon. And thanks for stopping by. I hope you had fun taking a look at our, too close there, taking a look at our character here. And let's see here. How about this? Thanks for stopping by. There we go. And I just have this little script here to help me test my character's facial animations and make sure all their body physics are working correctly. Let's go ahead and give that a quick run before we wrap things up. And we will just wait for Unity to run. And let's see here. Sometimes it can take Unity to kickstart, and I think OBS is taking up a little bit of my computer's thinking power. Yep, any second, Unity. So Karn will be featuring in Campfire Stories as a playable character, and he will be featuring in other games as playable as well that come after Campfire Stories. So I did have quite a few people that messaged after playing through 3 Down Stars, and then when I started rolling out updates and adding new playable characters, I did have a number of people ask whether Karn would be a playable character or not, because what people have said is, oh, this guy seems interesting. He's got a cool look. He seems to have an interesting story to him. Will he be playable in a future update? So in 3 Down Stars on the 3DS, unfortunately, it doesn't fit story-wise, but he is playable in Frontier Fighters Mini. He's a recruitable character in that. So we make sure the physics all works right. His bones react correctly to physics. Drag him around there, make sure that works. And let's make sure that his facial animation works correctly. All right, that all seems to work correctly. Well, thanks for stopping by. Sure was nice to hang out and share a bit of the character process with you. So that's a character breakdown of Karn Delance. I hope you'll stop by again for the next video. Take care of yourself, have a great holiday season, and see you next time.